Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TIC Podcast. It's been a bit. Hope everybody's doing nice. It's 11 o'clock on a Friday night. And I have some things on my mind. It's been a bit, and it's given me a chance to kind of think what's my next topic. But something happened recently, and it came up with the perfect segue into what I wanted to talk about. So, on the 15th of September, my business turned 2. And for those of you interested and new to the channel, my company is TIC Studios LLC. And I am an animation studio ran by myself with one person. And I create animation for the adult connoisseur, I guess. Like, not adult like porno or anything, more like mature, in your face, kind of like not for kids, And it all started, I guess, when I started watching a lot of rated R movies when I was like 10 or something. And I realized how badass rated R content was. And Simpsons, things like that. There was a lot of cartoons, but when there was an adult cartoon, it got my attention. I'll never forget the first time I saw Spawn on HBO. And this is like 1997 or 98. And I didn't even know what I was watching. I just knew it was really dark. And so, flashback, or not flashback, fast forward like to now. And I'm like, okay, all those cool, edgy, in-your-face animations I watched in the late 90s, that's my company. And so, why did I pick the name TIC Studios? Because I have Tourette's, and a lot of my teenage years was about advocating for Tourette's. Like, that was my identity as a teenager, is talking about Tourette's since I was like 14 to like 17, 19, somewhere around there. And so I took two things that I really cared about, which was my art and my kind of, I guess, advocacy for Tourette's. And that turned into my brand: in your face, loud, loose, and out of control. I always wanted to make a platform for, alternative animation. I was tired of seeing I'm just going to say something that people might be upset about, but I'm going to say it. When cartoons started to turn into the Cal art style, I really veered away from cartoons. Some of them are good, but I'm not into them, like Regular Show and Adventure Time. But that's the thing, it's like totally not my thing. And like, I'm a big fan of the 90s style, the mid to late 90s animation style, where everything was like kind of, hand drawn and maybe a little choppy, but definitely like gritty. And that's kind of the focus of my stuff. I really want to bring that back. There's been, I'd say, 20 years of just animation that feels more and more computer generated. And there's a couple shows that are bringing back the early style, but most of it is kind of different. We don't see the old school style cell animation. And when we do, it's like Castlevania or Invincible or Vox Machina. Those are great shows. I love them. But, I'd say that they're kind of built for my generation anyway. They're all adult shows. They're rated R. So it's like even in the like professional sense, they're still retro. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the whole idea of what I want to do, is make animation for those people. Bring them back. Give them something they want, I'm reading a book about the history of animation, It's called Wild Minds, and it's by this guy, I think his name is Reed Bintenbuehler or something like that. I don't know his last name, but it's a big book, and it's all about the history of animation from like 1900s, like the turn of the century, to like the 50s. And the studios back then were all kinds of different. Like there was mostly Disney and Fleischer, but animation was pretty raw back in the day. It was, Disney kind of made it clean, but it was always kind of scrappy. And that's kind of the direction I want to take, is my stuff is like a pirate ship, I'm cruising down the seas, and I got like a Captain Jack Sparrow attitude, you know what I mean? We're loosey-goosey, and we have one ship, and it's probably going to sink, but we're going to keep going. So, what is going on with TIC Studios? It's our second year. And, well, I am working with Mega Art Daniels again, and we're making Rise of the Sky Titans as a show, as I wanted to. A long time ago, I had the idea, and we've been talking about it, but we're finally starting to do it, and we're doing it in segments. So that way, it's doable. Animation requires a lot of work. And in order to make a show happen, it's a lot of effort. You could do it for free on your own, but having people collaborate with you does require money. And we're at a point where we're consistently making it, and it's really cool. So that's happening. And then I am now working with two separate people. So I bought a software a while ago called Moho, and over the course of a year ago, somewhere about a year or two ago, I met these two people from a show called Ick and Glib. This guy named Robert and Robbie, and they made the show Ick and Glib. And shout out to both you guys. I hope all of you are well. I had made friends with Robbie, and he is going to help me with Moho. And then I recently made a talent search for looking for help on my show Rip the Falcon. And I met someone in a film festival. He was perfect. I reached out to him, and he was totally down to help me out. His name is Chris Oliver. He made the madness of Muscle Chick Madness, or I think that's the name of the title. Yeah, Muscle Chick Madness, and he's hilarious. His animation has got a really cool style, really good humor to it. He has that hand-drawn style, like exactly like what I want. And he's a really cool guy. Like, we click. We could talk about anything for like an hour. So this guy, Robbie Roaring, and Chris Oliver, those two guys are helping me with TIC Studios. One on Moho and one on Clip Studio Paint. And, I'm really looking forward to, having some help because, where have I been? I got a day job, guys. I know. Everybody just go boo. But, doing TIC Studios LLC full time was pretty freaking hard. And I had to kind of look at the numbers and go like, okay, what's realistic? How can I make this like bigger? And how can I make this like continue? And, having a day job, as you would call it, really does help like improve financial security and let me hire people so I can make this stuff better. I'll be paying my helpers, and they'll really help. It'll be a lot better. And I have the studio already set up. So I'm thinking of things that I could put into it, like potentially a comic book floppy edition. Rip the Falcon is a comic book I made, and I made a new PDF, and I might make a new print run. I have an Amazon book, and I'm happy with it, but it would be really cool to have like an actual floppy comic. And I made a new PDF. I want to give a quick shout out to Jordan Howard from H3 Comics. I'm letting him use my comic as an imprint. So if you're listening, buddy, I just want to say, hey, you're awesome. And so is 21X Ghosts and Remix. Check those things out. I want to guide anybody to check out H3 Comics on Facebook by Jordan Howard. He's an incredible anime artist, and anyone should definitely check him out. He's a rising star. But, yeah, I mean, I also have other characters I'm working on. I got one that I'll be unveiling soon, but I plan on doing comic books again. And I'm thinking, a good idea that I had was to make the Rip the Falcon comic first and then make the show. And so for now, I think that's how I'm going to unveil a character. I'll make the comic and then I'll make the show. And I have two other characters. One of them is named Slide Frog, and I made a quick little YouTube short about him. But, I'm going to keep the other one a secret until a little later. But, yeah, I think that things are going well. I mean, in the time that I've been a company, 2 years, I made a comic book. I made 3 animated episodes and lots of remixes with music. Like, I networked with a lot of bands. And I'd say that I am kind of known in the independent grunge community by now, because I've made a lot of friends with musicians, and like 1080 Trees, Just a Ride, Noise Heads, Texas, The Terrible Texan. There's plenty of like independent rock musicians that I really like, and that's one thing I really feel proud about my brand, is that, it does have kind of like an alternative rock vibe to it. And, I started this podcast to kind of give myself something to do while I was working on a really big project. I finished the project. I got paid for the project. It was Telltale Hearts, but, it is not published because the client didn't like it. You can't really choose those battles. If someone doesn't like it, they don't like it, but I was happy with it. But it was something that I made the podcast so I could actually continue making continue making channel content. And now here we are. Now it's like, okay, I need to make Rip the Falcon episode 4. I need to make the anthology of my short stories, because, I want to expand. And one thing I just finished was I finished all of the story for Rip the Falcon, as far as I have it at the moment. But the whole saga is wrapped up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it into a novel. It's going to be called Rip the Falcon, the Anthology, and that'll be coming soon. I just have to put it all in one file and publish it. But things are definitely going further, you know. Things are coming out slower, but I have, I think, a really good strategy for how it's all gonna come out. And I might start putting the episodes I've made of the TIC podcast on iTunes and maybe some other podcasts sites like Spotify or something. I feel like by now I kind of established a style or a brand, and that's probably my favorite thing I've done is that I took something that I wanted, like just to kind of go off this deep end here. Companies that inspired me a lot were like Classic Game Room and Sega, and I feel like they were gritty and alternative, but also kind of doing their own thing. Like, Classic Game Room is kind of known for doing its own thing, of being the leading voice in random hardware reviews on video games. And then Sega, for all intents and purposes, they do their own thing. Like, people can say they aren't as good as Nintendo, but they did what they wanted to do. And that's kind of the vibe. Like, I definitely want, like, my company to stand out. And I think I accomplished that. And, in the future, I hope anyone who finds this channel thinks, wow, this is a network. This is not a guy on YouTube. This is like a brand. And it's like, it's a cool brand. It's edgy. It's alternative. And it's badass. So that's kind of where I want to end. This company is really about being just loose and in your face, raw. And, I plan on doing more things with the company, but it'll always have that attitude. That's a big thing I want this company to be known for, is to have that bite to it. And never want anybody to think that this is I want it to feel like it isn't a corporation. Like, I don't want people to think this is some kind of like Pepsi or Starbucks or whatever, or Amazon or whatever, but this is like a genuine company, and what I do is real. So look forward to more, kick ass, and I'll see you next episode. Peace.